Daf is Daf Zion. We are going to begin Daf Vav Amud Beis. The line starts with Rabbi Akiva Omer. It's on the bottom, towards the bottom. Again, the line starts with Rabbi Akiva Omer. So yesterday, we had a whole machlekes if when we evaluate the damage, is it from the mazik or from the nizik? Now, Rabbi Akiva says, from Meitav Sadeu, so Rabbi Akiva Omer, Rabbi Akiva says, Le'ba'akasav ela-ligbois l'nizokim and ha'idis. The Torah is telling us that when you come to collect the damages, you have to collect from the idius, from the best part of the one who got damaged. And the Gemara says, "V'kal v'chaymer le'hektish," and this will be a kal v'chaymer to hektish, that you have to pay when a person damages hektish, you have to pay from the karka of idius. So the Gemara asks, "My kal v'chaymer le'hektish." What does the Mishnah mean by saying it's a kal v'chaymer to hektish? So the Gemara has a few scenarios. If the case is that a regular shur gored a shur which belonged to the Beis Hamikdash, and it will come out that when the balashir pays the damage, he has to pay. Let's say the bedek abayis, he has to pay from the idius. So the question is, the Torah clearly says that only when an ox damages another ox of your friend, a person's chayav, but not sure from Hegdish, which would come out that a ox which gores an ox from Hegdish, he doesn't have to pay. So you can't say that I'm learning from here a kal v'chemer to Hegdish, because if it's a sure that damaged Hegdish, the guy will be potter.
That was going to be for today. It's going to be that.
Yeah, you said that it's correct. Yeah. Yeah. So, Ella lo'imer arei alai mana. Rather, the kal v'chemer is teaching us a case where a guy says, "I'm giving, let's say, a mana 200 dinar the bedek abayis. I'm giving 200 dinars to bedek abayis, and he doesn't have what to pay the bedek abayis. He only has karka. So then is the osi gizber v'shakel midis. So now the gizber, the collector, is going to come and pay the chayiv from the idius of the neider, the person who made the promise. He's going to come and collect from the idius. Now, so the Gemara asks, "Lo yehei ela bal chayiv." This that the gizber is able to collect should only be like a regular bal chayiv, when somebody lends somebody money. So the din is that, and the guy doesn't have what to pay. The din is that a bal chayiv bebeinis. The din is that a bal chayiv pays from beinis. So when a person makes a promise to the bedek abayis, what is he saying? I'm going to give, let's say, 200 or money to the bedek abayis. So why are you collecting from the guy doesn't have? So I'm going to take away his karka, but I'm going to take away the best of the karka. Why? A regular balchav, he's a regular balchav. He owes money to the Beis Hamikdash. A regular balchav has to pay from the idius. Why does the gizber get to pay from the idius? Why does he get to collect from the idius? So the Gemara says, and if you're going to say that Savar Rabbi Akiva holds that kol balchav nami b'idis. If you're going to say that maybe Rabbi Akiva holds that any time there's a bal chayiv and he owes money, he can't pay back the money, so you can collect from the leiva, the idius. So now, according to Rabbi Akiva, it will come out that you can learn from Hegdish to Hegdish from a kal v'chemer from Hedyet, that the gizber can take from the idius. So the Gemara says, but you can go ahead and refute this kal v'chemer based on this way of learning. Why? Because mala bal chayiv by a regular bal chayiv who owns money, the Torah now says that when you collect the money, you can collect the money from the idius of the Baal Chayiv, from the idius of the Nizik. And therefore, since the Torah says that when it comes to collecting money from the Nizokin, you can collect from the idius, so the same thing, a Baal Chayiv can collect from the idius. Are you going to say the same claim by Hektish, which makes the person, makes his tviyah worse? Why? Because we know, as we just mentioned, that somebody who damages Hektish is patur from Beng. So the Chayra, each one, by the case of a regular share which damages, so the Torah says he gets idius, and therefore the same would apply by a Baal Chayiv. Hashem by Hektish, fakert, it makes the Hektish makes his case a lot weaker, because by Hektish he doesn't have to pay. So my answer is like this: really, the nagach Torah the dollar Torah dektish. Really, the case is talking about that a regular ox gored a hektish ox. You asked the question, the Torah says only if it's a Sher De'eo, not Shir Hekdesh. So the Cheda, if a person damages a Shir Hekdesh, he doesn't have to pay at all. Rabbi Kiva, so look, Rabbi Shimon ben Menashe. You should know, Rabbi Kiva holds like Rabbi Shimon ben Menashe. The Tanya was learned in the Brisa, Rabbi Shimon ben Menashe, Imer Shir Hekdesh, Shenagach Shir Hedit, Potter. That Rabbi Shimon ben Menashe, Shir Hekdesh. If a Shir Hekdesh gored a Shir Hedit, Potter, the Beis Hamikdash would be Potter because it says Shir De'eo and not Hekdesh. However, Shir Hedit, Shenagach Shir Hekdesh, if a regular Shir either gored a Hekdesh, Bain Tam, whether the Shir was a Tam, or Bain Mord, whether the Shir was a Mord, Mishalim Nezek Shalom, once a Shir damages a Shir Hekdesh, he is chayiv to pay no words, he is chayiv to pay Nezek Shalom. And, so based on this answer, will come out. So now we could explain, what was the question? We asked the question, if we're talking about that a regular Shir damaged Shir Hekdesh, so why is a person chayiv? So he says, because Rabbi Kiva holds, like, he holds that a Shir Hedit that damages Shir Hekdesh, doesn't matter if it's a Tam or a Mord, he has to pay a Nezek Shalom. From the Leva, yeah. From the Nizik. So Rabbi Kiva holds that a person, basically, but the point is that Rabbi Kiva is going to hold that when a person's Mazik Hekdesh, he has to pay. So now the Kabbalah Chemra makes a lot of sense. So the question is like this: if you're establishing this as Shittas Rabbi Kiva, so now Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva, if you're saying that there's a machlekes between Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shmuel, it might be this the nizik with zuburis the mazik pligi. How do you know that they're arguing in a case of, let's say, you have karka idius of the nizik, which is equal to the karka zuburis of the mazik, and now the whole machlekes is just you have to pay the nizik or the mazik. Why are you saying that? The kula alma but the nizik shemin, and I can tell you that everybody will agree that you have to pay from the nizik.
It makes sense.
And it makes a lot of sense that you have to pay. You damage the guy, you have to pay from the.
When he died.
But no, we're not like for whatever he pays. If you damage somebody, if one damages somebody, he has to pay from what he damages. Now the guy doesn't have money to pay. So what do? You have to go to the karka. So the thing is, you could take the idius of the karka away. Now. And they're arguing in the machlekes of Rabbi Shimon ben Menashe and the Chachamim in regards to somebody's mazik hektish. Rabbi Kiva is Rabbi Shimon ben Menashe. Rabbi Kiva is going to hold Rabbi Shimon ben Menashe that a person whose mazik hektish has to pay for it. Holds Rabbi Shimon ben Menashe. Rabbi Shmuel, who does not mention, holds that the Chachamim Savar Abanan that somebody whose mazik hektish is potter. So the Gemara says you cannot say that's the machlekes. In other words, what was your question? Your question is, why not say the machlekes between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva is talking about not if I evaluate the nizik or the mazik, but to say the machlekes is if you're mazik hekdesh, do you have to pay or not? So the Gemara says three answers why you can't say. The number one is Shehim Kain Ma'ale Ba'akasa. What is it saying? You're saying that the Rabbi Kiva says the pasuk doesn't come, which is mashma that the Torah is not coming to, in other words, if they're not arguing in a regular case, why would he answer like Ba'akosov? Ella comes out that the Torah says Meita Sadeu, that everybody agrees that you have to pay from the best, based on the way your question. So for the fact that it uses the expression My Loi Ba'akosov, it must be that they're arguing even in this case, not in the case of a regular share that damages another share. Now, and if so, the question is, my kal v'chemer hektish. What's Rabbi Kiva saying as a kal v'chemer from hektish? It's mashma that we're being mashmer on hektish. If Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shmuel both agree that we evaluate the idius of the nizik, it comes out that there's a kula on the mazik because he doesn't have to pay from his idius. So how could you say kal v'chemer hektish? To be makel on a hekdesh, he should pay from the idius of the nizik. According to Rabbi Kiva, is maklamar on a hekdesh, even a sheer tam that damages a hekdesh, he has to pay a full damage. And the third question is really the Omen of Rashi. And Rashi says tani better. We have a clear price. It says meitav sadeu, meitav karmi shalim, meitav sadeu shon nizik, which means it's the meitav of the sada of the nizik, and meitav karmi shon nizik lidu mishmol. Rabbi Kiva emer meitav sadeu shon mazik or meitav karmi shel mazik. So what do we see? We see clearly the machlekes is that in Tashlumi Hedjit, if you have to pay from the Meitav of the Mazik or the Meitav of the Nizik Al Kaponim, they're not arguing in the case of Hegdish.
If a person Mazik and Nizik, Mazik doesn't have the money to pay. He doesn't have the money to do it. So you take it from his fields. If quality and quantity, if it costs X amount of money, and you have to sell more merchandise, more field, or more something to make up for that loss. So technically speaking,
right, but
the quality, you can have a small thing worth much more, or a larger worth much less. It depends.
Correct. So, but now, but 100%. I'm going to learn a little bit later on the second Amud. There's a lot of different scenarios over here, but the Pashtus, when the Nizik now comes and claims, he says, look, you damaged me, right? You don't have what to pay back, so now you're going to go take my field. Okay, you damaged me $200 worth.
Field. Or if it's a better field, it sells, if it's a smaller quality, it sells for much more.
Right. So we're going to see on Amud Beis, we're going to see, yeah, you're exactly how that works. Okay. Okay, the Gemara now goes and is speaking about now the din of paying. Rami le Abai l'Rava. Abai asked Rava Shraida. See, the Torah says in regards to when you have to pay a nezek, meitav sadeh, meitav karmi yishalim, which is mashma meitav in when somebody damages another person, he has to pay the best of his fields. However, midi achrini loy, but which is mashma, something which is not his best, he's not allowed to pay with. That's what it says. Meitav sadeh. Now, when you pay the nezek, you have to pay from the meitav sadeh. Well, Tanya, but yeah, we learned in another brayso. The Torah says, "Bala shir yishalim, kesef yoshiv lebailov," and from the word yoshiv, the extra word we learn, he has to pay the rabbis to include shava kesef, that he could pay even with the value of money, ve'afilu subin, and even like brands, things which are not like our pselis of the chitim, which is like the not a very good quality. So how do you pay? Do you pay now b'meitav sadeh, or do you pay with even subin, with brand, with this pselis achitim? So the Gemara says like kasha. It's not a stira. Kan, this that the Brisa says Yoshiv teaches us that you could pay with shavak kesef. It's talking about when a person was mazik and now he wants to pay midaita without the nizak coming and being teveh. And based then he comes on his own. I know I damaged you, so now he says, look, let me pay for it. I'm going to pay shavak kesef. This that the Torah says meitav that he has to pay from the meitav is talking about baal korfei. It's talking about when person damages. Right, he damages, and now the Beis Din has to come and force him to pay. So that you can take from the idis. The Gemara says, you could see this lashon in the Mishnah as well. The Mishnah says, what is this word of that the shumei meitav you pay dafka when a person is forced? What does the Torah say? Torah says meitav sadeh meitav karma yishalim. It's mashma that he has to pay, which is bal korche. So Amalei Abai tells to Ula, B'nation of Biloi, Miksiv, the Z, Yishulam, which is mashma that he's forced to pay, Yishalim Ksiv, and which is Mimedaite mashma. Yishalim could also mean that he's paying on his own accord. Elam Rabbi Abai says you cannot answer the question that is Midaite or Balkoshe, but rather Kedemar. This is like the way Rava answered the following brayso. The Tanya we learned. Now, the din is that there's a din of Matnas Aniyim, which means that the corner of a field payah, if somebody has, let's say, 200 zuz or more, he is not allowed to take from the Matnas Aniyim. If he has, let's say, 199, he is allowed to take from Matnas Aniyim. Now, and the din is, we're going to learn in a second, that someone's allowed to give him even, let's say, $1,000 or 1,000 zuzim at one shot. If he has 200, he's not allowed to take. If he has 199, he could take, and somebody can give it to him in one shot, even 1,000 of them. So now, what's the question? What's the case over here? We learned in the Brayso side, somebody had real estate. He had fields, he had houses, he had vineyards, and it was worth 200 zuz. Now, but he cannot sell it now for 200 zuz. He has to sell it for a little less than 200 zuz. So the halacha is like this: you can give the guy maisani up to 100 zuz. And what do? And you sell the other karka for 100 zuz. So now he has 200 zuz. Now, and now Rabbi was questioning, hey Chidami, what is the case talking about that he cannot sell his property for 200 zuz. This guy has real estate. His real estate now, it's worth 200, but he can't sell it for 200. So what's the din? He has to sell half of it. He can sell half of it and accept madnas aniyim of half. So the Gemara says, "Hey chidami, what is the case over? If all the real estate market went down, so his also went down, so his property is now worth 200 zuz. Even if it's worth more than 200 zuz, we learned that if somebody has less than 200 zuz, he could take even 1,000 in one shot. So why are you saying only 100? Everybody's prices went down. Ella, rather, to ikar the kulama. No, so you're going to say that everybody's real estate went up. But the day and his really went up. Since this guy needs cash, so therefore,
that's correct.
Right.
I'm keeping that.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Let's read again. Since his land went down, so since his karka is sold for cheap because he sees that because he needs cash. So afilu porta nami le'lisfile. So even less than 100, you can't give him ma'aser sheni. Why? Because be'emes, the price of his property is worth 200. He needs the cash. We don't care. The value is 200. Now, Omer Mar Allah and Rabbi said about this. We're talking about a case that he takes ma'aser ani worth 100 zuz, but in an oifenazai to be yamin nissen. In the Tkufa of Chedesh Nisan Yikara Arasa, his field is worth a lot of money. Why? Because that's some time you could plant and you could irrigate the field, etc., etc. However, Ubiyemik Tishrei in the times of Chedesh Tishrei Zohara, his price goes down. Why? Because in winter you can't really plant. Now, the Kulam and Notre Nisan and Bazabni. Now, everybody will wait with their property till Nisan and then sell it for a higher price. But this person, since this guy needs cash, Zabin Kidahashta, he sells the price now. Now, since in Nisan it would be worth 200 zuz, so he's not considered an ani. He's not considered an ani enough to take 200 zuz because the fact is, if he waited 6 months, he will get the money. But he's also not a wealthy guy. He's not an usher because the fact is, his karka now is not worth 200 zuz. So what's the din? You're mashlim the meiser with the meiser ani. You give him 100 until he sells the property, and he has now 200, which means that the derech of property can go down like 50% in Tishrei Tvei lav orchel mezal, but lower than 50%. It's not normal even for the worst of times of real estate for property to go down much more than that. Now, so what do we see from here? So, just like Rabbi explained the Brisa, that in regards to Nizak, we're talking about that the property usually sells in Chedesh Nisan for higher, but this guy needs cash, so he sells in Chedesh Tishrei. So he's not an Oni. He's not an Oni that he could take 1,000 at once because his property is worth 200. He's not an Osher because the fact is his property is worth now, in Tishrei time, less than 200. So what do we say that half he could sell? Hachanami Gabi Nizakin, the same would apply by Nizakin. The Rabbi explains to be Mavar, the state of the Psukim, we said Meitav and Yashiv, that we said Meitav is mashma, he has to pay from the best, and Yashiv is mashma even from the worst. So we're talking about that when he damaged in Tishrei it was worth 100, and now he wants to come to collect from the karka of the Masik. Now, Dinei B'idis, the halacha is that you collect, that the Nizik can collect from the Idius, like we explained Meitav Sadeo. Now, so like then is like this. If the Nizik tells the Mazik, Habli Benis, this is what you were saying before, Habli Benis Tvei Porta, you know what, give me a little bit more karka, I damaged you. So I have to pay you Idius. We evaluate the Idius and I have to pay you, from my Idius I have to give you that value. So he says like this, he says, you know what, take from me Beninis, or let me take Beninis, I'll get more what?
More of a share.
More of a share, yeah. So Amarle, so the Mazik could tell him, if you want to take the Idius, take it now. And if you're not going to take the Idius, you're going to want to say, to take the Beninis, Shakul Kuyukra de la Kameh. So then take the baininess not now in Tishrei, take the baininess that is in Nisan. In Nisan, the property is more. So if the property is worth more, that means the baininess, size-wise, is also less. So that's the word. He could tell him, no problem, we're going to go with the higher price. That means that the baininess is also a higher price. So now I have to give you a little bit less. Okay, so now... Okay, and this is what we'll learn from the word Josh. So now the Gemara asks, and he asks, Im if the Nizak cannot collect from the baininess according to the price now, the way it is that he can collect, you're saying, Dafke baininess, eat this. But when it comes to baininess, he can push you off to a later price. Then the Chayra Hayrata question shall Niske Eitzel baininess is worse. You messed over the guy who wants to go and collect his payment from Karka, which is baininess is worse. Why? Because if he's going to collect from baininess and buris, he'll get the lesser part of the field, or the lesser part, if he would have taken the Elias. It doesn't make sense. Why the Rachmana Omar Mimeta, the Torah says that you have to give from the best. Va'at Amris bainis v'ziburis nami, and you're saying that he can collect also from the bainis and the ziburis. And you're not saying take the price now, but you're saying take the price that's going to be in Nisan. And that's mamish against the Torah. The Torah says Meitav Sadeo. Rather, he says, if you want to compare this case, you have to be medamit to Balchir that wants to collect his loan from the Levin Tishri. Now, Balchir dinei bebeinis. The Allah is that Balchir can take from the beinis. Now, if the Malva tells the Leva, Balchir, yes, you can collect from the beinis. However, the Malva tells the Leva, the lender tells the borrower, have the Ziburis Tfei give me a little bit more. I know that a Balchir can take from the beinis. Give me Ziburius, but give me more of it. Give me more quantity. So Amalei, the Leva could tell him like this. Isha kalt kedina shkul kadash. If you're taking now kaka from the beinis, take it the way it is, the value is now. But if you're not going to take it for that value, you want to be a chacham and take this as Ziburius, shakal kiyukul kami, and take it the way it is in Nisan. And again, Nisan, everything goes up 50%. So I only damaged you, let's say, 200. So if you take it now, you'll get a full 200. If you're going to go and take it from Nisan, you want to take the Ziburius, you're going to get the value then, which means that for every, you were getting basically 50% cheaper based on this. Okay, so now, if you're going to tie it up this way, in Cain, if the Leva can tell, can cause a 50% loss to the Malva, so then what's going to happen is no alta delis b'fnei lovin. People, no one's going to want to give loans anymore. Because the Malva will say, "Ilo have a lezuzi, have a shokla kedashta." If I had money, if the money that I lent him was in his hands, he was liquid, so then I could have bought Karka Zipuris the way it is now, and hashta the zuzi gaboch. But now that my money is in his hands, eshkol kiyuk, I'm going to receive at the prices of Nisan, which is much less. So no one's going to want to lend, because everyone's going to say, why should I lend now? The guy's going to... I'll get burnt for 15%. So if you want to compare it, you have to compare it to a woman who collects her get in Tishrei. Now, the din is, a woman always gets from the Ziburis. But if the woman says, instead of giving me from the karka of instead of giving me the Ziburis other price, have the beinis but support. Give me a little bit less, but from the beinis, the way it is now. So the husband can say, if you take it the way it is now, take it from the Ziburis. But if you're not going to take it and you want daf from the beinis, take it the way it is worth in Nisan. And now it's going to come out that there's going to be a 15%, is going to take a 50% hit, or she's going to take a 50% hit. So now the Gemara goes back to the first part of our sugi. We said the first question is Mikom Kasha. Nevertheless, it's still a question. Why? Because Mitzad Efod, you're saying Mitav Sadeh Yushalim, that he has to pay from the best. And B'tzad Sheni, you're saying Yoshev l'Rabbi Shova Kesef, and even Subin. So Rabbi says, Kol Yoyev lei, me meitav leitav lei. Meitav teaches me that anything you give, you have to give from the best. So it's not a steer that we say Yoshev, that you can give even Subin. Because even when you give from the Subin, you have to give from the best. How are you? Okay, so another one it says, but it says Meitav Sadeo. So Elo Kilasar a papa of one of Yeshua, maybe Rabbi says like this. He came from Beis Medrash, he says Parshua, he says that they explain the Psuk in the Kol Mili Meitavu, everything which is a metaltal is considered Meitav. Why? If it won't sell over here, well, it can sell somewhere else, anywhere. Everything is considered Meitav when it comes to metaltal. Why? Because somebody is...
It was a buy for everything.
There was a buy for everything, and let's say in this country it doesn't sell well, they could find somewhere else that does so well. Except for real estate. The why? Because
it's not good. People are not jumping at it.
In other words, by field, lav dafke, everybody's field is good to buy. So that's why there's a difference between Edis and Ziburis by a field. Mashigim and Talplin, even Subin, even Bran is considered Meitav, because in some places it's taka good. So this you're saying Meitav Sadeo is the best, and it's mashma from Yoshiv that you can give the worst. By Karka, by Metalplin, there's no bad by Metalplin.
In other words, we're not talking about value. The person's going to get his valuable. The question is, from where are you paying you, and how quick can you sell?
Okay. He asked him a question about Abba. He says, Kishain Shama, when Beis Din evaluates the karka that the mazik, and now he wants to collect from the mazik, and we evaluate the nizik's idius. So now the question is like this: B'shaloyin shaman, do they evaluate of the mazik, and we're going to take from the best of the fields, or does he collect? We evaluate idius like kurev pnei adam, even if where the mazik is considered ziburis. So Gemara says like this: I'll leave it to Rabbi Yishmael. There's no question why. The Omar, he said before, if you remember that above him in base, but the nizik shaminan, that we always evaluate the nizik. So obviously in the mazik, if we're evaluating the nizik, the mazik for sure can give his aburius if it's the idiot of the nizik. Now, what's the question? Leave it to Rabbi Akiva. The Omar, he says, but the mazik shaminan, that we, when Meitav Sadeh, Meitav Kamah Yisraelim means that it's the mazik, we evaluate from the mazik. So now, my Meitav Sadeh Rachamana. What does Meitav Sadeh mean? Doesn't mean the muti nizik. Doesn't mean at the mazik that we don't go after the nizik. But he has to pay from the Meitav of Reva Oilam, even if by the mazik it's considered ziburis. Why? Because, and that's what it means b'shel Oilam. Or do I say that Lampute the Almanami, that it's coming to be my everything?
Meaning, you look at his fields and whatever is the best. That's what you take.
So Amalei, yeah. So the Shmuel, so Rav tells Shmuel, Achmanam Meitav Sadeo. It says Meitav of the Mazik, Ba'at Amris B'Shal Elamein Shamin. It says Meitav Sadeo means the Meitav of the Mazik. So now, so it's partial that what do you evaluate to evaluate B'Shaloi? All right, we'll stop here.